appreciate everyone being here today. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this important subject and the week ahead. So to kind of get back middle of March, we all kind of accepted the first 2 weeks, which turned into 30 days of a shelter-in-place effort to try to curve or actually flatten the curve in this potential virus. The problem we began to see really soon was the peak was not mid-April, it was mid-May, and now maybe it'll be later than that. So the goalposts began to move really early on. There was a call for more testing before we could open up. There was a call for contact tracing before we'd open up. There was a discussion about antibody testing was not reliable. Also the call that maybe we would not return back to a pre-mid-March level until we had a vaccine or somewhat of a treatment, a proper treatment method. There's been many viruses and things of the past that we still don't have a vaccine for today, and some would argue the fact of how effective vaccines really are in controlling some situations. We've seen these viruses come, they're hot for a while, and then they ultimately die down and go away. We were again told to flatten the curve to avoid overwhelming the hospital system, which was very effective. However, it flattened the economy. With the preparations that were being made by our hospitals to prepare for the coronavirus wave, which never really hit in most of Illinois and central and southern Illinois, the hospitals began to lay off and furlough people. A neighboring hospital just 30 miles to the east of me is laid off or furloughed the equivalent of 500 plus full-time equivalent personnel, and the local hospital laid off dozens as well. So we see it as flattened the curve, but all the while it flattened the economy. We see that big box stores were deemed essential, all the while Main Street was deemed non-essential and was shut down. The very people that are the backbone of our small and medium-sized communities were shuttered and was not able to provide for themselves or their family. As we look at the emergency powers, the language is very, very clear. The 30-day emergency language says shall not exceed 30 days. Due process has been violated, and many other civil liberties and constitutional rights have been stripped and trampled in this process. The Illinois Department of Public Health has a pandemic response plan. It's 120 plus pages. My question is, why isn't the governor and why isn't the agency following this plan? It's been in place for a number of years, very well thought out, and will handle this and many other situations. It talks about getting to the source, getting to the heart of the matter, and isolating it, and not shutting down the entire state. What's central to this discussion is 20 ILCS 2305 2A, B, and C. This lays out our due process rights in this whole effort. Concerning the governor's reopening plan, it's a failure. A 5-phase plan, 28-day intervals, that's 2 times longer than anyone else in the nation. Even New York only has a 14-day interval plan to implement new phases. Does the governor really expect people to wait 3+ months to get a haircut or other personal services? The question I also have is about our overall health. What about health screening and preventative health measures that, or elective surgeries that are administered in these hospitals? We're just going to overall lead to a more unhealthy population here in the state, and that needs to change, and it needs to change now. I'm also really concerned about suicide, domestic abuse, a rise in the drug and alcohol abuse. These are real issues that are affecting every one of us. As far as the region plan, I'm not really sure why the governor didn't use the 11 regions that's laid out in the medical emergency services plan rather than condensing them into 4. This makes it even more unworkable and unmanageable. The emergency rules that were filed by the governor on Friday afternoon creates a new crime. It makes criminals out of my neighbors and my friends. It's just shameful.